Hey, what's up guys, AARava here, and welcome to the final ever episode of my F1 22 My Team career mode. This is episode number 118 today for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But let's take you through a little story recap of how this final season on this game has gone from the start. Because things have certainly been very, very different. We kicked off this season all the way back to the Australian Grand Prix down under with Lando Norris in the Audi F1 team for this season, taking the first victory. Audi looking so promising and menacing race pace wise, but there was also a new challenger on the block this season, Vettel Rennsport. Sebastian Vettel retired from Formula 1 in this alternate F1 universe of ours last season, and he formed his own team as a team principal and owner and signed Mick Schumacher and Felipe Drugovich, and Schumacher delivered the second time of asking, winning the Bahrain Grand Prix, and laid down a marker that this brand new team in Formula 1 would be there fighting for potentially both the World Championships in Vettel's first season as a team principal. And of course, we used to be his former teammate, very good old pals in this season, and we are still here for one final outing, and we return to our team. After a season away at Scuderia Ferrari, we return to our own team, Aarava Archer Racing, and won our first race back with the team in Miami after a very controversial bit of contact with Charles Leclerc, which would be a common theme this season. The fourth win, though, of the season went to Oscar Piastri, moving to Repsol Haas, this American team that charged forward to become one of the top teams in this series ever since, what was it, season 3? Well, they were back at the forefront, Piastri doing an excellent job in an early Mexican GP. And after so many races and so many attempts, at least virtually, Charles Leclerc finally got some luck at the Monaco Grand Prix as he won his home race, finally, with Gulf Porsche Williams, taking a double podium for the Williams team, and early on, Williams took the Constructors' Championship lead. So we've got so many different teams involved early days in this fight, but then Austria came. It was looking so great for us, dominating things in wet conditions, and our engine went pop for the first time this season. The Honda engine gave out on us and we had to retire, gifting Felipe Drugovich victory as we walked to the back of the garage. And with the consistency that both Drugovich and Schumacher showed at this point of the season, they look like a serious contender for the constructors. Haas have been there, Audi have been there, but Vettel Rennsport looked like the real deal with both their drivers scoring decent points and taking the lead in the Constructors' Championship. But Lewis Hamilton still rises after so many seasons out of retirement. When he left the sport in this career mode series at the end of season 2, he returned, of course, to this year's grid to be our teammate and took his first victory for a long while at the British Grand Prix. But that wasn't the most sterling effort of the day midpoint of the season, because Yuki Tsunoda, of all people, won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix for Andretti Honda, the second American team on the grid, in a photo finish race versus Kevin Magnussen. Tsunoda became one of the newest winners in Formula 1, taking an incredible victory for one of the newest teams in this alternate F1 universe. But it was down to business for AAR Aarava Archer Racing as Hamilton came back to become the first repeat winner of this season. It was 8 different winners in the first 8 races, but Hamilton showing here that in the midpoint of the season, in the European portion, that this My Team car really is a force to be reckoned with, as we won back-to-back wins as a team as we took victory in the following race, both becoming double winners this season and starting starting to look pretty ominous, I must say, at this point. But we knew that tougher days were on the way for this team, and there are going to be other circuits where other people were stronger. But a great 300 IQ strategy at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza won out for us. Unfortunately, the opposite was the case in point at Imola. Not for us, but for the game. It was very much not 300 IQ for the game, as at Imola, we saw the biggest glitch to date on this game, as the safety car drove around for 18 laps, racing us, taking out drivers, causing general havoc, as you can clearly see here. Very much minus 300 IQ stuff from the game there. And after a last lap crash between myself and Carlos Sainz from the lead of the race, Oscar Piastri took his second win of the season. Repsol Haas trying their best to stay in the fight. Ultimately, maybe didn't have the tools to be consistent this season to be up there, but this was a special moment for Piastri to take his second win of his entire F1 career in this universe. Then the Singapore Grand Prix came, and it was disaster for us. An engine failure after things were looking promising. An aggressive two-stop would have put us on for a podium, but in the end it would be nil point for us and a race win for Leclerc once again. But despite not winning a second race so far this season for Lando Norris, he was the one looking the most comfortable in the championship. Norris quietly going about his business, getting multiple top 5 finishes, podiums as well, and he was the nearest to us in the championship fight. But Leclerc was closing. Hamilton still trying to get himself in there. Schumacher hanging on by a thread, and there will be more turbulent races to come, but we had to fight back from 2 0-point finishes in a row from Imola to Singapore. We had to do it. We had to win the Canadian Grand Prix, and that's exactly what we did alongside Hamilton and Schumacher on the podium. It was a big race for everyone who wasn't Lando Norris, who suffered an engine penalty and struggled to come back for points in that race, and that blew the championship back open for all of us. And after what could only be described as a typical Lewis Hamilton display at Sao Paulo, he was the king down in Brazil with the sprint win and the full Grand Prix win, dominating and annihilating the entire competition to take the maximum set of points and get himself into the championship frame. As then drama ensued in Jeddah. Drugovich with the win, technically out of the title fight really, alongside 2 Haas drivers also out of the title fight on the podium, meant little points were scored by the rest, and myself and Leclerc faced 2 DNFs as we came together and crashed in the most dramatic fashion early on in that second last race. And it means going into this final episode of F1 22 My Team Career Mode, we lead the championship to the main protagonist that has been there the whole time, Lando Norris, by 4 points in the Audi, a further 2 back then, Leclerc and Schumacher in the Golf Porsche Williams and Vettel Rennsport, and then Hamilton a further 2 in P5. It all comes down to this, a 5-way drivers title decider, and there's also a Constructors Championship up for grabs. Can we make it 4 Constructors Championships on this game to round out the game cycle? I'm not gonna lie, it feels very, very odd to be at the end of this game cycle, especially now that we've had some F1 23 preview gameplay switching between F1 23 preview and this has been interesting, to say the least. It really does show how different the handling models have been, and it took some use to kind of getting back into the handling model for this game, but we're here and ready to try and perform at our best to seal out another Drivers' Championship. Only our 3rd of the game. We've had 7 seasons and we've only won 2 World Championships as a driver. Just kind of showing, to be fair, handling and other issues aside, the AI on this game were actually very, very strong. A bit erratic at times and aggressive, but that's kind of what you want a bit from AI. You want some aggression, you want some human-like mistakes, etc. And they have been very, very strong competitors. But constructors-wise, we've got 3 so far, looking to make it 4 if we can seal it out. Vettel Rennsport, though, they're going to be a tough tough competition, Drugovich and Schumacher, but our work is made easier because Mick Schumacher, very characteristically, is knocked out in Q2. He's done this a couple of times now this season where he's just been edged out from the top 10, and it's all thanks to the likes of, Fernando Alonso and the Andretti into the top 10 shootout. Tsunoda pulls out the bag for Audi, and then both Repsol Haskars and Russell's Mercedes there, making it very stiff competition. But usual suspects, myself, Hamilton, Norris and Leclerc, all through into the top 10 shootout. But for Schumacher, one of the drivers in the title fight, that's not ideal to be outside of the top 10, starting P11. But we've seen some pretty decent comeback drives from Schumacher before in the past, and we know that Vettel Rennsport car does have some good pace. But Schumacher, I mean, that's not surprising. He has struggled a few times to get it out and get it over the line over one lap to get into that crucial top 10 shootout that we are now in, as the sun has fully come down. We are now fully under the floodlights here at Yas Marina for one final outing in qualifying, driving this maxed out car in anger. You may have noticed we've got a little bit of a decal on the side pods. So long F1 22. This is our final qualifying lap on the game, up into P3. It's 3/10 down from my Q2 time, and that is unfortunately a bit of a disappointing end to qualifying here. Myself and Hamilton equally matched, but both of us went slower than what we could have done in Q2 there. And it's, well, surprise, surprise, the consistent men, I should say, of Lando Norris on pole position. Leclerc, again, on a front row this season, and this is where it really matters for those two. So myself and Hamilton in the title fight down here, kind of nearer to Schumacher than those two, to be fair. So I was commenting on Schumacher's poor performance. To be honest, we can't really talk now because both myself and Hamilton have lost a bit of pace there. I don't know, maybe the track temperatures, plummeting a little bit with the sun coming down. Maybe it didn't help our cars, and it certainly helped Audi and Williams and Vettel Rennsport with Drugovich right up there as well. But Tsunoda pulls out the bag for P4, so Audi as a whole working well at the correct time they need to be for Lando Norris' sake on pole position. So if we want to win this title, if we want to win the Constructors as well, we've got a fight on our hands, both myself and Hamilton. Let's go to the grid for a final time on F1 22.
It's time then for one final race in this year's Formula One World Championship. 2010 saw 4 drivers in contention for the title coming into this race, with Sebastian Vettel prevailing to become the youngest world champion to date. Is there one last sting in the tail awaiting us today? Well, it's time to find out. Here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Yas Marina circuit is made up of 3.28 miles of track, featuring 16 corners with 2 very long straights. DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both turn 5 and turn 7 offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Drugovich, Tsunoda, George Russell and Fernando Alonso, Hulkenberg, the owner driver, Oscar Piastri and Mick Schumacher, Sainz, Ricciardo, Liam Lawson and Verstappen, Magnussen, Perez, Logan Sargent and Robert Schwartzman, Théo Pourchaire, Gasly, Albon and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
So unfortunately, a bit of bad luck for our teammate Hamilton. What a way to go out. That's painful. He's got a grid penalty. He's at the back of the grid. He's on the last row in this final race. So he's going to have a very tough time coming back through that. I mean, I have no doubt he will try his best, and, you know, to be fair, in the recent races, his AI has been absolutely on it, you know, very much high focus, I guess, and performing well, but, you know, we've got such a tight-knit grid with maxed out cars, it's going to be tough. So we've got one less person to worry about and one less awkward situation with battling our teammates for our World Championship, and an 8-time World Champion at that in this alternate F1 universe of ours, as he did win an 8th title in Season 2, if you remember, of course. We've been watching since then. So now we've got a job against 2 other drivers, Norris, Leclerc, both on the front row. Schumacher, I can now see him on the ladder on the top left. He's been elevated to P10 then. So inside the top 10, myself and Schumacher, both of us have to try and catapult ourselves forwards towards those top 2 guys on the front row. But we line up for the last time on F1 22. I can't say I'm too disappointed by that. I'm looking forward to looking at the back of this game and going on to better things on F1 23. But let's try and round out this entire series in a fitting way by winning our 3rd World Championship, if we can help it, as we go to 5 red lights. The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is underway. It's a good start for us versus Hulkenberg. A few slow starts ahead of us, actually, for Tsunoda and Alonso. Tsunoda fighting Russell into turn 1. Leclerc takes the lead of the race. I can see up ahead. Leclerc into the lead. For once, he's had a great start off the front row as we managed to get Hulkenberg. Tried to get Alonso into turn 1. Instead, we'll have to maybe fight on the outside of the hairpin now, trying to go right round the outside of the Spaniard, the man who we fought for the title this time last season in Season 6, of course, in the Ferrari, as we now gain on Russell. Norris looking to try and re-overtake Leclerc. We're in the slipstream of the Mercedes, who's got other plans. He goes for the move on Tsunoda. We're going for the double pass. We drift through the next right-hander. It's actually silky bit of work there, because the rear end kicking out almost maybe scared Tsunoda and Russell into the apex. Very much Jensen Button-esque in Sao Paulo, as he used to brag about. And we're up into P4 then. So it's a great, great start. And now we've got work to do to chase after the top 3. Drugovich, not in the title fight, but could certainly be a thorn in any of our sides, as Leclerc and Norris go fighting. Norris on the outside to the inside for the next right-hander. The 2 jockey for position. This for the race lead early on lap 3. Drugovich there as well, but the Audi takes the edge, takes the lead. But Leclerc, is he going to try something? Will Drugovich try anything? Leclerc comes back at Norris. It's very fine. Leclerc moves from attack to defence, though, on Felipe Drugovich, as the Vettel Rennsport car has a clean drive on the right-hand side to get up into 2nd place. But these 3 fighting have brought us back into the fray now for the top 4. Tsunoda's kind of followed us with some DRS aid as well, so it's a 5-way fight for the race win at the moment, with a larger gap then to Russell. At this stage, don't know what's happening with Hamilton, but all I know is we're getting, as ever, very close to the walls and Charles Leclerc, as we did at Jeddah. Maybe a bit too much at Jeddah, to be honest, but we're making a clean pass on Leclerc this time round, trying to get the power down as early as we can. But of course, as I said, switching between this game and the 23 preview has not been easy on the traction, I must say, but we're trying our best. As we get up into P3, we see Norris defending successfully from Drugovich as well whilst we did that. So now we're in the top 3, and focus is shifting to Drugovich and Norris. Leclerc obviously still behind us, so we need to be wary of that, but with DRS aid and a bit of battery on this straight, we should be able to close up to the Brazilian. Will he go for a move before us, I wonder? I think he will, as we're just going to have to wait and be a bit patient here, braking early on purpose, just not wanting to stick our nose in before it's the right time. We need to play this right, and this now may be the right time to pounce, as we've got DRS for the 2nd time now. Norris gets blocked off on the left. We've got a clean path into the lead of this race on the outside, but Drugovich comes in with a kamikaze attack to retake the lead. My days, he was looking for a crash there if we didn't turn out. And of course, Drugovich may have some hard feelings about this race versus myself, because of course, remember to Season 6's finale where we won the championship with Ferrari. It went down to the last lap and he lost it in the last sector. So he's probably got some revenge on his mind. He's not in the title fight, so he's got nothing to lose, but we're acting like we've got him nothing to lose there for a second. I don't know why I even tried to make that 3 wide, because that was never going to be something I guy stuck with on the inside. We absolutely would have got squeezed out. Instead, though, we make it 3 wide on the next straight and go in between Drugovich and Norris. And this time we learn from the error of the last lap and we stick it defensively on the inside curb to make sure Drugovich doesn't pounce back at us and we get up into the lead. But it's going to be short-lived because that Vettel Rennsport car now has the DRS. We've not broken it from Felipe. He gets very close to our front right tyre. He's going to hop over the curb, and we've seen that before from the AI, so we preempted it and we kind of avoided that action, but we slowed ourselves down in the process. And now we're going to try and re-overtake. Drugovich blocks us. He blocks us, chops us off at the racing line. Norris now through. Drugovich takes out a bollard whilst at it on the inside as we try and struggle for a bit of grip on the outside. The Audi is through into the lead. We remain in second, but all Drugovich has accomplished there is replacing the lead with Norris. But we're going to come back at him as he hardly gives us any room on the left-hand side here. So in this final race on F1 22, they really are showing their maximum aggression, it would seem here, at blocking, defending, squeezing, all the above. But we get up into the lead. Norris, though, has DRS. We'll go very defensive to the inside to block off the inside curb. Norris is actually going to get pushed wide, and in the turbulent air goes so wide that he actually loses 2 positions maybe, as Leclerc is now going for the ballsy move on the double right-hander. It's a very unorthodox place to make an overtake, but he's actually going to do it because he gets the elbows out. Leclerc getting desperate. He's been pushed down, not really in this fight so far, but now he's woken up a little bit and looking to try and take Norris. Norris defends well for P3. Meanwhile, Drugovich is absolutely on one to go round the outside. We defend into turn 1, but Drugovich wants the lead even before we get to the DRS point. We're going to continue to be side by side. No! Drugovich pinches us in to the curb. He acts like we weren't even there. What did I tell you? Drugovich, he's got a bit of a frosty nature about us at this circuit. And my God, I'm just thankful we're not out of the race. I got flashbacks to Alonso. You remember last season? Alonso got taken out from the lead at this same corner. Difference is this time, this was a fair, straight fight between myself and Drugovich, and he just basically drove left like we weren't even on the inside curb, and that curb spat us out. We had an opposite lock, drifted it through, lost positions, but we've already gained one back now on Russell. Such is the determination, but now, very much like Jeddah, Drugovich has just pulled away clean into lead. But look at the fighting going on here. Schumacher's got in the fight, and he's gone and overtaken Norris. It was a 4-way battle. Norris, Schumacher, Leclerc, and Tsunoda, of all people. Tsunoda is the lead Audi. This is terrible for Norris. What's happened there? Tsunoda has woken up now, and he's taken the fight to everyone, and it's the wrong Audi who's leading this train. And Schumacher, after being knocked out in Q2, is back into this fight now. Because with Norris down the order, Schumacher ahead of us, Leclerc ahead of him, he's fully here now. He needs to stay here, and he's in the title fight again. But we're going to make swift work of Schumacher, go round the outside. Clearly, he's just not finding as much speed in this second half of the season compared to his teammate Drugovich, as we easily overtake him on the outside there. I mean, to be fair, we're getting to the end of our stint now, so maybe Schumacher is just struggling with a bit of tyre wear as we now close in on Leclerc again, and this time not making the same mistake going left. Instead, we'll stick to the racing line on the outside. Leclerc will come back at us though, and we're going to have to fight this as he goes over the curb. Easy does it, try to stick out the elbow, but ultimately waiting for the patient game of this second bite of the cherry of DRS to get up into P3 and chase after 2 people who are not even in the title fight, but are doing so well in this final episode of this career mode series. Drugovich and Tsunoda, both of them, their teammates respectively in the title fight. They're just showing up for themselves, it would seem. Drugovich 3.3 the gap ahead. Tsunoda 1.9 ahead of us as Schumacher now attacks Leclerc. Leclerc defends and Leclerc dives down the inside of us. We have to take avoiding action. Leclerc nearly tried to hit us off circuit. That was abysmal stuff from Leclerc. Watch this onboard. Watch this onboard. What on earth is going on, mate? You're defending against Schumacher and you go for the dive bomb from centuries back. It's even worse from Schumacher's POV as he just comes in like a rocket. There's the love tap. And we got sent through. I'm actually quite lucky we've got no barge board or floor damage there, or anything of this such, or side pod damage, everything from that incident. So again, no love lost between myself and Charles Leclerc in that Williams this season as we go through into P3, because those two have come in for the pit stop. We're going longer because I want to try and make sure we've got the freshest hard tyres possible at the end of this race. So we go on 2 laps longer to let Hamilton pit on lap 14. We pit on lap 15 because I remember last season there was some horrendous tyre wear on the hards right at the end of the race. So having 2 laps, just 2 laps, fresher hard tyres could be the difference maker by the end of the race. You just never know. I don't exactly know what the pace was like for me though on that in lap, so we'll see what the damage is of going 2 laps longer on the medium tyres as we come through under the underpass. Schumacher's through. Where is Norris? I think he's ahead of us. He's there on the right hand side. The Audi is just gonna get ahead of us. That's a bit unfortunate, but we're gonna try and make the move straight away on the outside. Norris very defensive, a bit understeery for me. We cut in a bit tighter. The tyres, though, a bit cold with a bit of snap of oversteer. DRS open and gaining now on the Audi. I want to make this move straight away just so we can start chasing after Schumacher, because where is Leclerc? Leclerc's behind us by 3.1 seconds as we go deep into that corner. Norris went too tight through that left-hander, but with Leclerc now 3 seconds back, I don't know what happened to him in the pit lane, but he's now kind of out of the fight almost. So now it's between myself, Norris, and Schumacher, and Schumacher's 2.7 ahead of us. So we need to stop fighting with Lando, and we need to get a move on to chase after Schumacher to make sure there's no funny business. Because right now, if it ended like this, I would win the championship. But if Schumacher gets a sniff of getting more points, then it gets interesting, because of course he's only got to gain more than 6 points to win the championship. Right now, he'd be gaining 3 on me as we watch Hamilton come in for a second time for a front wing change. It really is so long F1 22 for him. What a shocking last race. That is so annoying for him. So annoying for him. He's out. He made actually some great places up. He got up to like P, I think 8 at one point before the first round of pit stops, and then it all just came crashing down. For us, we're continuing to fight with our season-long rival of Season 7, Lando Norris in the Audi, but this is not helping our case at closing up to Schumacher in case anything happens as we continue to fight the Audi, yo-yoing about, re-overtaking him, trying to go defensive, but oh, what an aggressive move from our fellow compatriot. Lando wants the P4, he wants the opportunity to maybe use the clean air himself, but just like he did, we're going to come back at him and annoy him with DRS, but all the while, Schumacher pulls away. But as it stands, this is the fight we care about, because as long as we are staying in P4, we would win the championship like this, and obviously relishing the fight to beat, the person who's been consistently there all season on track would be a great way also to round out, because, Lando for a large part this season really has been the main protagonist of this season. Leclerc's been there at times annoying us, but really the Audi, and especially in the hands of Lando, has been the one always there. But yellow flags behind. Oh, it's a spinning Haas. Oh, Oscar Piastri spins at a very odd place to do it. He almost crashed into Russell, I think, as well. But this is why there are yellows in that sector, and it's even a full course yellow safety car, because Piastri, because of the reversing across circuit, I think, and Pourchaire also retiring from this race with an engine failure on the left. That's actually maybe what triggered it, is the engine failure there for Pourchaire. So there's a safety car. So this has made things interesting, because yes, we're P4. If it stayed like this, we'd win the championship. But now that there is no gap to Tsunoda and Drugovich, if Schumacher was to gain some more positions, then that's a problem. So we need to stick with Schumacher as much as we can. Unfortunately, off the exit of the safety car, lap 24, only 5 laps to go on this entire game left in my team career mode, and it's not the best exit for us. We need to stick with the German, because if he overtakes Tsunoda, then that gets a little bit interesting, because that would be 6 points on us. We would still win, technically, the championship on win count back, but now Norris sends it down the inside. We've lost P4. Norris with a huge dive at the hairpin, and now this is a problem. We need to re-overtake the Audi and then keep an eye on Schumacher. If he overtakes Tsunoda and Drugovich, he could win the championship, even if we were in 4th place, as we overtake Norris, get back to P4. We need to be on Schumacher's tail. If he wins this race, it's game over. And if he's going for the win, that means we have to go for the win. Because if he wins, even a 2nd place, that's 7 points. He needs 7 points to win the championship. He's behind me by 6 in the standing. So, essentially, I need to keep up with Schumacher. And if he goes for the win, I have to do that as well. No matter what. I don't know, whatever happens between Drugovich and Tsunoda, we need to get past them as well if he's going to try and get past them. And anything could happen, even with Norris behind us, to be fair. Leclerc, he's down and out. He's down in P9, so he's out of this. So this is a fight between Schumacher, myself, and Lando Norris now. And we're all keeping together. You can see on the mini-map, the top 5 are pulling away from the rest of the grid. So once again, we're all in a class of our own. But at this stage, I'm feeling quite calm, we're closer to Schumacher than I think Schumacher is to Tsunoda, maybe just about, as we have a huge moment. We almost just deck that car into the wall and lose some time to Schumacher. As now, on the second last lap of the Grand Prix, Tsunoda closing up to Drugovich. Drugovich is wide. Tsunoda might go for the race win for Audi. This would be exceptional stuff for either of them to win this race, but for Tsunoda especially, having won in an Andretti. But there goes Mick Schumacher. Oh, no. Schumacher around the outside for the race win. He's trying to make the double pass happen. We have to get the overtake done on Tsunoda. We are going to get it done on Tsunoda. We followed Schumacher's slipstream through to make that pass. He's now side by side with Drugovich, and Felipe Drugovich ironically does me a solid and fends off his teammate as we just narrowly stay ahead of Tsunoda, who actually sent one down the inside of us on that double left-hander. But this is getting sketchy now. On to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Now I'm nervous because Schumacher is one overtake away from winning the World Championship, which means I have to be 2 overtakes away from winning this race and winning the championship myself. Because if he gets in the lead, that's game over. And he's close to Drugovich. He's a lot closer to him than I am to him. So we need to close up with DRS on the last lap into the last sector. Schumacher's doing it. Round the outside, Mick Schumacher goes. Drugovich takes it wide, makes contact. We go through into P2, but it's not enough. We need to win this race now versus Schumacher. We're going to be side by side under the hotel. Schumacher gets the elbows out, bit of contact made. We keep going round the outside. This is not just a fight for the race win, but this is a fight for all the marbles, the fight for the World Championship. Defensive to the last corner, and we're going to do it. We're going to win the race, and we're going to win our 3rd Drivers' World Championship. I don't know about the constructors. It's a double Vettel-Rennsport podium, so I have my doubts. But the 3rd Drivers' World Championship to match our 3 Constructors' Championships in the final race on F1 22. Whew.
Well, it's certainly been an incredible year for Formula One, and our drivers have all pushed themselves this season, making it one of the most compelling years of racing in history. There can only be one champion, however, and here they are now, our new Formula One World Drivers' Champion. They've done it then. Victory in the last race of the season and the championship as well. What a phenomenal end to a terrific Formula One season. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
I think we'll chalk this one up to a deft touch on the brake pedal. That's allowed them to challenge down the inside into the braking zones, and ultimately, if you do that often enough, you end up winning the race. It was great to watch as well though, wasn't it? Forget strategy, forget tyre management. Who doesn't love a good old-fashioned scrap?
The faces on our top 3 look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
That was incredible. Schumacher, the dark horse. I wrote him off earlier when he got knocked out in Q2 and he proved me wrong there. Wow, take a bow, Mick Schumacher. He'll be disheartened by that, but what a battle. He did it. He only went and did it. He went for the win, which forced my hand. I had to then win the race versus him. I thought it was all over when we were looking to overtake Tsunoda, but then we got into the P3 to just sit behind, and then as soon as Drugovich went too slow, we pounced, but we had to keep on going and make that second overtake on Schumacher himself to win the championship, because he would have got enough points to do it. We did have the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, to be fair, actually, now thinking about it, so maybe we could have won it on a win countback, but after Season 2 losing the title to Hamilton like that, level on points, I wasn't taking the chance of anything like that. I wanted to secure the win fairly, squarely on the road, and we did it, and we won the Constructors! Somehow, we did enough to beat Vettel Rennsport. Sorry, Sebastian Vettel. Sorry. But we have got 4 Constructors and 3 Drivers' Championships to show on F1 22 My Team Career Mode. What a whirlwind last race in a pretty whirlwind last season. It's not a fitting ending to this series for a game that a lot of us have really been quite annoyed with, but in terms of how I like to make career modes and like to entertain you guys, it has been a very fitting ending to the entire series. Guys, if you have enjoyed this one, nay, the entire series, from whatever point you joined on, Season 1 through to, you know, all the seasons up to here, Season 7 recently, thank you guys for watching this career mode season. I cannot wait to get started on F1 23. But yeah, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And there's only one final thing to say. So long, F1 22.